أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. How are you today? How many of you have participated in the program Quran on Hour? You have gone, you have seen. So this is why I mentioned it, because this is one of the important days, or I can say one of the best day in the campus, while we are living for 24 hours, that we have seen how a Quranic on hour we are celebrating here, from the top leader to a small kid is reciting Quran from the same places. They are talking about the messages of Surah Al-Huzra and so on, how it really helped to build peace and prosperity in a society. And my topic is also to some extent relevant to that area, because we are also here talking about the prosperity, talking about the peace, talking about the economic development. And in this case, I will also link it up with Ramadan fasting. Then the first question comes up, whether Ramadan fasting is helpful or it is harmful for economic development. So let's start the debate. Let's see what the existing literature talked about economic development and Ramadan fasting. In this lecture, at the beginning, I will tell you a bit summary of my lecture, and then I will look at Ramadan fasting as a project. You know, the project is a word which is very familiar to you, right? Because you can think whether you can take the project or you will not take the project. So if you look at from the project point of view, that's Ramadan fasting is a project. And usually if you talk about any project in a conventional sense, then how it is to be accepted or to be rejected, it depends on, let's say, sometimes we say cost benefit analysis. Means we analyze the cost of a project, and at the same time we see the benefits out of the project, and then decide if the cost is lesser than the benefit, then we take the project, and or vice versa. Okay, so this is the usual rule we are looking at. And now we are seeing that if you talk about, I will say whether Quran is also giving us some guidelines on cost benefit analysis, that I will highlight, and then I will look at some of the costs that arising from Ramadan fasting, and I will talk something about economics of Ramadan, and how can we actually really build an economy that is helpful and that is really prone to economic development. So that will be the last part of my presentation. So let's talk about this first. This verse is repeatedly you will hear when the Ramadan is coming, and again I have to repeat it. So let's repeat it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So now look at this verse. I have written in the title that here fasting is a means. What is the end then? End is to achieve taqwa. And the final or ultimate goal of our life is actually to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the Quranic concept of mardatillah. So that is our ultimate goal. Our aims is achieving taqwa, and then fasting is its means. So now question is, you will find that here I have jotted down some of the meaning or applications of taqwa given by several scholars. Let's say in the Quran there is 151 times you will find that taqwa is mentioned, and you will find that Abdullah Yusuf Ali, one of the familiar Quranic meaning, and you can say the tafsir, so he mentioned it like you may learn self-restraint. So I just bolted on self-restraint, another meaning of taqwa. Then you will find that usual meaning that we mostly uttered, this God-fearing, is let's say we take it from Sayyid Qutb. Then if you talk about Muhammad Assad and Professor Hashim Kamali, then they mention it like God consciousness, and they added good deeds. It's amal saleh. They add amal saleh with the meaning of uh, taqwa. And then if you look at this picture, then he look at it from different angle. And his angle is you may word of evil. Means he is no more conscious of from the negative aspects. So we would like to be get rid of the evil things from our life. So that is his style of doing things. And another is Akbar. This will produce pity in you. And another, this is the Ibn Kasir. This is on kind of, you can say, the definition of taqwa. If we talk about performing the acts of obedience and abstaining from the prohibitions, it's like amru bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. This kind of definition. Now, this verse is entirely talking about Ramadan. Now, I'll try to bring a verse which is more prone to economic growth and development. And here, why I bring this verse? Because this verse also highlighted on Iman and Taqwa, and linking this Iman and Taqwa with the growth and development. So it talks about that Iman and Taqwa is the necessary as well as the sufficient condition for growth, as quoted by Abbas Miracle. So let's read the verse. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض. Okay, and if only the people of the cities, or you can say the communities, had believed or iman and feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taqwa, we would have opened upon them blessings from the heaven and the earth. So now, if you talk about these blessings, this is actually the directly linked with what you can say the material aspects of development that we want in this dunya, and other aspects. If you talk about the spiritual aspects of development, that also covers that. So this is actually, now summarize the whole point. Then I will start the debate. Ramadan, what is the main aim and objectives of Ramadan? Main objectives is you have to achieve taqwa, right? Now question is naturally comes. If you achieve taqwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ready to give you barakah, or ready to give you the blessings from the heaven and the earth. So this way you can say there is a connection between Ramadan and economic development. Or you can say Ramadan is also means of economic development. Why? Because through Ramadan, practicing Ramadan with Iman and Ihtisab, what you can do, you can achieve Taqwa. And when you will achieve Taqwa, it is the responsibility of God. He has taken himself the responsibility. He will give you the barakah. So that's why this is the summary. We can strongly argue from Quranic perspective, okay, Ramadan has a role in economic development. Now we will come to the issue. When we talk about this taqwa, then different scholars also have pointed out something that, let's say, if we talk about Muhammad Akram Khan in his book What Went Wrong in Islamic Economics, he has talking about, we talk about taqwa, but what is meant here? Especially in the verse we are talking about, this Surah Al-Araf 96. What is the meaning of this verse? In this verse, taqwa. Then what are the indicators of taqwa? Indicators means, let's say, what are the items? If you cover those items, then we can say you have achieved taqwa. So that is also another critical aspect. Then what is meant by people of those communities, or like this Ahlul Qura? Now he is saying that, do we mean every person has to achieve taqwa and iman, or majority of the people, or the leaders of the community? Means he is asking the question, it is Ahlul Qura. Who is this Ahl? Is it every person has to have iman, and then taqwa, and only then Allah will give the barakah. Or if the majority, like in the democracy, if you got more than 50% means you are in the power. So is it like this? If more than 50% of a community have iman and taqwa, they will be given blessings. Is it like that? Or the only the leaders of the community, if they are okay, they have iman, they have faith, they have taqwa, then Allah will give the blessings. This is another critical aspect. And is the verse applicable in the reverse case as well? Reverse means we are talking about if people don't have faith. Here we say if you have faith, iman, if you have taqwa, then Allah will give blessings. Now question reverse. If a community doesn't have faith and doesn't have the taqwa, then what will happen to them? Allah will ruin them. Allah will destroy the community. That is another question to ask. And another thing is like this cause-effect relationship between God consciousness and prosperity, whether it stays stable or not, or the sequence means whether is it that you will get prosperity, then you will achieve taqwa, or you will get taqwa first and then prosperity second. This is another cause and effect relationship. And what changes in human actions are stimulated by faith and God consciousness that lead to prosperity. Let's say we want to achieve prosperity, that is our goal, right? Then what kind of change we have to bring in our life, in our human behavior, in our dealings? When we talk about economic perspective, then what are the three fundamental issues in economics? One of the issues is consumption, another is let's say production, another one is distribution. Are we dealing with iman and taqwa when we talk about consumption, when we talk about distribution, when we talk about production? So these are the issues that is raised by Muhammad Akram Khan. Then Sayyid Qutb, this is the very interesting point he mentioned in his Tafsir fi Zil al-Quran when he is trying to talk about this verse 796. He is saying we found a contrasted pictures in the world that doesn't match with this verse. What he is saying generally if we believe that Muslim peoples are more superior in terms of iman and taqwa than the let's say non-Muslim world. Okay? Because you believe in Allah, you believe in Akhirat and other things. And let's say to some extent you were superior in terms of taqwa than the West, or let's say on other world who doesn't have the faith. Secular world, if you talk about let's say France, it's a very secular world. Very few people there believe in Allah, let alone taqwa. Okay. So now if you look at this material sense, the development, the blessings, who are getting more blessings? You or I will say, okay, France is more superior in terms of economy than even Malaysia, let alone Bangladesh, let alone Sierra Leone. Okay. So now you come to this verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clearly stated, if you have iman, if you have taqwa, it is his responsibility to give barakah from the heaven and the earth. So that doesn't match. And let's say recently in 2010, Rehman and Ashkari, they're both from Georgetown University, George Washington University, they have come up with an economic Islamicity index. Okay? So what they have done, they have found out the goals and principles of Islamic economic system from the Quran, from the Sunnah and other earlier texts. And they have let's say covered like say three fundamental principles of economics. One is let's say achievement of economic justice and achievement of sustained economic growth. Then the second is let's say broad-based prosperity and job creation. And let's say third one is adoption of Islamic economic and financial practices. Under these three goals, they have let's say 12 principles. So based on these principles, they have also tried to come up with indicators, and more than 100 indicators they have covered in this study, and also they have studied 208 countries. So Muslim and non-Muslims, both are included. But they claim their fundamental basis of the index is from Quran, from Sunnah, and from the earlier works of the Muslim scholar. You got my point? So you can say it is an Islamic index. Okay. So now, if you look at the performances from their index, what it revealed, you will find in the top 50 countries, only 2 are Muslim countries. Malaysia is 33, while Kuwait is 42. These are the 2 Muslim countries are in the top 50 countries, among the top 50 countries. Now, if you come between 51 to 100, then only 18 countries is there who are Muslim, and within them Turkey is less than 71, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is close to 100. Then if you look at about 101 to 150, then there are 16 countries, and Bangladesh is there, 141, and Pakistan is 145. Still we are better than Pakistan, so we are very happy. And if you talk about this 151 to 2008, 208, it is like 23 Muslim countries. Now if you talk about the YC countries as a benchmark of Muslim countries, you know there are only 57 countries of the Muslim world, right? So 23 is just almost half of them. So almost half of the Muslim countries actually below in the list of them. And they claim that they have developed this index based on the Quranic principles. So you may argue about their index and so on, but our performance actually doesn't meet what we are claiming, right? And what Sayyid Qutb is saying, they have actually proved through a bit like intellectual exercise, or you can say empirical work, evidence. And you will find that here, no, only Malaysia, eh? And you see. So these are the scenario. So now let's talk about whether Quran is saying about cost-benefit analysis. As I am saying at the beginning of my lecture, that Ramadan is a project. Let's say it's a project is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, it's your judgment whether you will take it or you will not take it. Because if you not take it, nobody will know. If you, and that's why our Maulana already mentioned in his lecture that the Ramadan is a special kind of ibadah. Because if you don't want to fast and don't want to reveal to the people, it's possible. You can drink at your room, nobody will see. So this is a special kind of. So now you can think about whether you will take it or not. So now let's look at about issue. Let's say khamr or drinking alcohol is strictly forbidden. Let's say some of the cases in the Quran you will find when it is the issue of haram, the haram issue didn't come first. They have been given the stages. Firstly means let's say warning or this kind of thing. Then final stage, so when people are ready, then okay, it's not permissible. This kind of thing. So let's say here the first revelation when it is talking about drinking alcohol, it is from the Surah Al-Baqarah 219. They ask you about intoxicants and gambling. Say, in them there is a gross ism or sin and some benefits for the people, but their sinfulness far outweigh their benefit. You see, clearly cost and benefit is there mentioned. Here let's say sin is cost. If you do it, then you will be in sin. So that is the cost. And what is the benefit? Benefit also mentioned in various other parts of the Quranic verses you can get from there. But Allah has mentioned that if here sin is outweigh greater than benefit. So cost is greater than benefit. So now if you research even from the conventional perspective, you will also find whether it is costly project or whether it has a beneficial essence. So in that case, even not from the religious point of view, from the intellectual exercise, you can also reject alcohol and gambling. So that I'm trying to say. Another issue is riba. Same issue. The first is says, what is saying? It says the fact that riba doesn't increase individual or national wealth, but on the other hand, it decreases wealth, unlike the act of charity or zakah. So here, one of our goal is to increase our wealth, because to increase our wealth actually is equivalent to say we are developed, right? Let's say if this year you have 50 million and the next year you have 60 million, means you have developed, right? So now our perception is, if we are dealing with based on interest, it is increasing our wealth. Because what is riba? In just clear sense, let's say I'm giving you $100 and you are paying me 110 or 150, 120 in the next year. I'm not doing anything. So my wealth is increases. So our naked eye says our wealth increases through riba. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran challenges this, our naked eyes, and says it's actually not increasing our wealth, it is our decreasing our wealth. Actually our wealth is increasing from zakah. But our naked eye says when I give zakah means actually I am losing my wealth. Because it is one of, let's say I have 100 ringgit, I have to give 2.5 after the year. So it's going out from my pocket. It's not coming back. Never ever, even if you can think of it. Then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this? That is the matter of research. So we found that my main aim is to show you here that from Quranic perspectives, we can also think about cost-benefit analysis. The way we, the business people, are now talking about all the time is project, is cost-benefit analysis, whether you reject or accept. It's just not the matter of more than 200 or 300 years. But before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated long ago about this. So now let's talk about cost, as we are talking about cost benefit. So this is a column published in The Guardian from UK. The writer is Rumi Hassan. He has a PhD from Oxford, sound very well-known university, and he is also now a lecturer in the University of Sussex. But he is talking about this Ramadan is not productive, while we are here for productive Ramadan, right? In his article, he has written there is mounting evidence, lot of evidence. He is trying to say that fasting in the month of Ramadan has a negative effect on health, in turn can have an adverse impact on the productivity and economic output. This is his standpoint. Don't get me wrong that whether I'm agree with him or not. This is the next issue. Then he is saying in the Muslim world, Ramadan means slow down. Slow down in terms of less work is done and more slowly. Means he wanted to say in the Ramadan actually we work less than the usual time, and even when we work it in a slow pace, not the usual pace we have in other time. So he quoted an article from Arab News, and that suggested that productivity declines by as much as 35 to 50% as a result of shorter working hours. Let's say in Ramadan every office is closed like 5, not usual 7, like this. And change in lifestyle during the month, so that decisions and vital meetings are postponed until it is over. Many decisions could not be made in the Ramadan because people are not much motivated to work and so on. So then this Rumi Hassan quoted Felipe Campante and David wrote their article that shows that Ramadan fasting has a significant negative effect on output growth in the Muslim countries. And at the same time, he said, but this research done by Campante and Drott is actually find another interesting thing, because their article is not only talking about economic perspectives, this is also talking about the happiness. It says that, but from the happiness perspective, Ramadan has a positive impact on the Muslim people. But this Ruby Hassan is also not agree with this. He said that the supposed positive subjective well-being effects of Ramadan are a flawed indicators of genuine well-being. Means the way, he wanted to say, the way Campante and Drott is saying about subjective well-being, that doesn't match with the genuine well-being. Means it's not a genuine well-being, it's the subjective well-being. So now let's look at actually the work done by Campante and Drott in 2013. What is their title? Does religion affect economic growth and happiness? From the title, you know, don't work only on economic growth. They have also talking about happiness, and they have taken the evidence from Ramadan. And how they do it? You know, the Ramadan calendar is different, a bit different than the as usual Gregoric calendar, right? So it's a lunar based. Islamic calendar is lunar. So Ramadan rotates through the seasons, right? Sometimes we do it in the winter season, sometimes we do it in the summer. It takes a bit time. Let's say, for example, in the case of Bangladesh, holy month now falls during the long days of summer, right? Now it's a month of Jeshta, right? So it's the summer. So, but let's say next 15 years after that, it will be occur in winter, when the days and therefore the fast will be shorter. Means when it will be in winter, it will be shorter, right? So this is happening all around the world. It is not about the case of Bangladesh, right? So around the world. So as time is very short, so I have to skip a lot of things, but I will give you just the hint of my lecture, so that at least you will be knowing what I am trying to say. So just look at this. Here is talking about from 1950 to 2010, the Ramadan hours in Bangladesh, Turkey and Indonesia. So this color is not that fine, but the green one is Bangladesh in the middle. You can think of is green. So let's say is 1950. That time our people would have like 13 hours of Ramadan. But the person just before 1970, it is just, let's say, 11 hours, like this. Again, this time it is higher, even more than, it is close to 15, and like this. Okay, so they take this data. Ramadan hours is one of their independent variables, and this is, let's say, their model. Y usually represented about GDP or economic growth, that depends on, let's say, Ramadan hour and subjective well-being. And the subjective well-being is depend on happiness and life satisfaction. So they ask the question about this. Happiness, are you happy? Or how do you rate your life satisfaction? This kind of question. So this is the usual model. And what they find, they have taken the longer prescribed Ramadan fasting, means if Ramadan hours is fasting is longer, then has a robust negative effect on output growth in the Muslim countries. Okay, for example, if the average Ramadan fast were to increase from 12 hours to 13 hours, let's say usually it was 12 hours, now it increases to 13 hours, then for that year would decline about 0.7 percentage point. When its economic growth is declined, less than 1 percentage point, if 1 hour increases of the Ramadan hour. So this is their evidence. But what they find, taking the data from the World Value Survey, they use the same empirical strategy to estimate the causal effect of Ramadan fasting on subjective well-being. And in that case, they find that Ramadan fasting leads Muslim individuals to report greater levels of both happiness and life satisfaction. So now the interesting fact is that's why I really like this article, and I also would like to thank the professor. Okay, we agree that our economic growth a bit slow because of Ramadan, according to their study. Okay, but even their study also suggests that Ramadan makes us more happy, gives us more satisfaction. Now, if you rate or rank between these three items, let's say I'm talking about economic growth, then I'm talking about happiness, I'm talking about life satisfaction. Which one will you rank first? Will you rank first economic development? Or will you rank happiness? Or will you rank satisfaction? So even from his study, also we can think, okay, we value satisfaction. We value our happiness. So we sacrifice a bit economic development. We don't care about it. We more care about happiness. We more care about satisfaction. That's why he also mentioned why this is happening. These are primarily associated with labor supply, because that time people don't want to work much. So labor supply is down. And occupational choice decision of Muslim individuals rather than through direct productivity. So they are saying it is not like that Ramadan makes us less productive. It's not like that. It is like that we are choosing not to work during Ramadan because we prefer to do more ibadah in Ramadan than on this kind of this muamalat things. Let's say our brothers are now in the mosque. They choose not to work this kind of dunyavi activities these 10 days for performing itikaf. Now I cannot say you are not productive because these 10 days you are not reading any mathematics, you are not reading any. So I cannot say this is their choice. So these are the things. And part of the effect is associated with changes in the way those individuals value work and material rewards. So they don't value that much about material rewards. So these are actually some graphical representation. Actually what I have said so far, this is the graphical representation. Let's say country from Africa, here is Comoros, Djibouti. Let's say country of Asia, our dearest Bangladesh, the Indonesia, Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Pakistan. There are many graphs, but I choose a few countries. Let's say main countries. Here is Bahrain, here is Egypt. So now economics of Ramadan. We don't have time, right? So what I can say, what I wanted to deliver, actually you understood what I'm trying to say. So that's why this economics of Ramadan, this part I will just ignore as time is very short. How many minutes? So here I wanted to talk about stock market, but I'll not talk it today. Retail industry maybe another day. What is the talking about demand and growth another day. Then another is Ramadan issues. When Ramadan comes up, price hike is the biggest issue, right? Price of essentials. Let's say rice, sugar, everything went up, right? So let's say here I'm talking about 4 countries: Qatar, Nigeria, Jordan, and Bangladesh. Among them, which are the 2 poorest countries? Okay, fine. So then you will find that Nigeria price increases, Bangladesh price increases. So these are the usual thing. But the reason I cannot discuss, not much time. But here you see from Jordan, Consumer Corporation to reduce prices of 48 basic food items for Ramadan. For Doha, 418 items reduced for Ramadan. So meaning that economic development is very powerful tool. If you are economically developed, you can offer people during Ramadan. You can give incentives. That's a go for economic development. اللهم ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا رب زد علما رب زد علما رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذريتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما এ আল্লাহ আমাদের রমজানকে কবুল করেন, এ আল্লাহ আমাদের তারাবিকে কবুল করেন, এ আল্লাহ আমাদের ইতিকাফ যারা করতেছে তাদের ইতিকাফকে কবুল করেন, এ আল্লাহ সবে কত যাতে আমরা পেতে পারি সে তৌফিক আমাদেরকে দান করেন, আমাদেরকে আপনার দ্বীনের পথে কবুল করেন, আমাদেরকে ইসলামের সহি বোঝার তৌফিক দেন, সেই অনুযায়ী আমল করার তৌফিক দেন এবং বাংলার জমিনে আমরা যাতে এমন একটা সমাজ ব্যবস্থা তৈরি করতে পারি যে সমাজে হানাহানি ভেদাভেদ থাকবে না, যেখানে আমরা সামাজিক ন্যায় বিচার প্রতিষ্ঠা করতে পারবো, সেরকম একটা সমাজ ব্যবস্থা তৈরি করার ক্ষেত্রে আমাদেরকে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ ভূমিকা পালন করার আপনি তৌফিক দান করেন বিরহমাতিকা ইয়া আরহামার রাহিম।